There we go. It's working. Hi, so I'm Samantha Gallaher, and for a few months now, I've been involved with the NASA Open Science Data Repository and the analysis working groups. So during this talk, I'm going to touch on why space is such a powerful laboratory to look at health sciences, what is the Open Science Data Repository, how the analysis working groups operate, and give a few samples of the work that they are producing. So, why look at space in the first place? So space is an extreme environment. Microgravity, radiation, confinement, and space flight, that perturbs all living systems. This makes space a uniquely revealing laboratory for both astronaut safety and terrestrial health. So in the last about 5 years or so, there's been a significant boom in space biotech companies starting up and spinning out from universities. This is being driven by public and private funding to tackle translational health challenges. NASA has aims for more Moon and Mars missions. There's also growing interest from countries for settlement on the Moon. And there's been an increase, and there's going to be an even more increase in commercial spaceflight. So some of the effects that are translational between space and mainly astronaut health and diseases and health here on Earth. Things like immune suppression, which astronauts experience, muscle loss, loss of bone density, radiation damage. These all mirror or accelerate conditions seen in aging and chronic diseases and cancer here on Earth. Doesn't want to play now. There we go. So NASA has 5 main goals to achieve with their open science work. So this is precision health, space crops, looking at how to grow and cultivate crops on the Moon or on the ISS. I can't quite see that. Quantum leaps, foundations, those are more to do with the physical sciences, and then space labs, which comes back into biological. So the image there is a screenshot of what's taken from the Open Science Data Repository. So biological data can be submitted to the portal, and then it's all open access. You can access that for then further analysis. So the power of open science. So the OSDR centralizes multimodal science. It has omics, biospecimens, physiology, behavioral data, bioimaging data, and crucial environmental telemetry data, including oxygen, CO2, temperature, humidity, and all radiation data. So the purpose that they wanted to create this open science data repository and the working groups was to enable global access to this data and accelerate discovery by getting more people involved. They want to have an educational impact, so getting more people involved in life sciences and space, and generate global health connections with that. So, as I said, the OSDR centralizes all this data together and kind of creates the perfect platform to apply AI and machine learning models to it with all this multifaceted data. one of their main things is the application of FAIR principles. So it's findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So the NASA Gene Lab, the NASA Gene Lab is part of the Open Science Data Repository. So this is the major omics hub. So things like genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, metabolomics across animals, plants, microbes, and humans. So within this, there are a number of subgroups, which I've listed up here. And within those, there's further subgroups. So everyone kind of finds their niche in this. It's all held kind of on a forum, which you sign up to, and you can spend some time going to the different meetings and seeing kind of like where does my skill set best fit in with this, and where can I make an impact. So I'm going to show some examples here of some of the work that's being produced from mainly the AI ML analysis working group. So first of all, there's a subgroup within that working on the development of a digital twin. So digital twins are really like on NASA's priority list to develop, because there's a chronic issue with space biology data in that it's sparse and it's fragmented. So these would create a real-time virtual replicas used to stimulate, forecast, and make decisions, supercharged by AI and other biosensors. So there's applications for this, like the potential for astronaut health twins, for personalized countermeasures. For biology, this means integrating omics, physiology, environmental, and imaging data, and then asking the what-if questions. What if radiation dose changes? What if we tweak diet or workload? So digital twins can ultimately compress the cycle of experimentation, reduce the cost involved with sending experiments to space, and prioritize the opportunities that NASA and other academics would go for. So the work this group does is So the work this group does, it uses the Rodent Research 9, the RR9 data. So this was to study long-duration microgravity effects on vision and joint health in mice. So retina in your eye is damaged in space. It resembles age-related macular degeneration, which is translatable here to Earth. So the idea of this digital twin is to integrate the different data layers with careful imputation to fill gaps responsibly, hopefully to yield a unified model where you interrogate to understand tissue-specific responses and system-level trade-offs. So an example of this is example of the missing data that you can see. So from the RR9, there's 5 data sets that are included in that, and there was different priorities for each of those experiments. So some of them maybe didn't collect one type of data, others collected others, but the idea is to try and fill in the missingness. Another one of their projects is looking at AI machine learning methods for radiation-induced DNA damage. So obviously the terrestrial relevance is significant for this. So people involved in aviation, nuclear, medical imaging, workforces face chronic radiation exposure. So tools developed for deep space can translate directly to occupational health monitoring. So example of the types of images they're trying to differentiate. So a key thing they want to do is differentiate between the different types of radiation that can affect astronauts in space. So they just look like dots, but they're actually like fluorescent probes on microscopy images. And it's trying to decipher whether different types of radiation display a different pattern of DNA damage, and to train an AI model to detect that. So the other case study I want to show moves away slightly from the human genomics and omics studies and looks directly at trying to find optimal sites to grow plants on the moon. So there's an analysis working group that is using satellite imagery combined with elemental maps and environmental constraints such as illumination and temperature, and plant nutrient models to rank sites on the moon that they think would be best areas to grow plants. So all of this data kind of would hopefully go towards policy relevant outputs, especially given the movement at the moment to have a permanent settlement of scientists on the moon. So what are some of the challenges faced with open science? Well, first of all, open science is very powerful because it invites scrutiny and it's reusable at scale. But the challenges exist in data complexity, particularly with biological data. This isn't unique to space data. This is all over life sciences. But the benefit of the analysis working group is that you get people from all ranges on all disciplines as well. Another thing NASA is trying to address with the open science data repository is the standardization across metadata so that this can then be inputted into AI in a reliable way and a user-friendly way. And also they want to provide training as well. So they've developed a number of courses for people who are maybe very AI literate, but don't have the biological background. And it's to give you an understanding of the type of data that you're working with, the genomic data that you're working with. So what's next for the open science data repository? We're looking towards richer multimodal data sets. This is an evolving repository, so as and when more experimental data comes available, it gets uploaded and inputted into that and then is readily available for people to look at and analyze. As I said, it's you get people from all backgrounds that come into this. So you have people who are in undergraduate, you have then senior academics who are very advanced and respected in their field. So it's just to create more community outreach and to create more like academic collaborations with that as well, and to increase output. So I think I said there was in a slide earlier about the kind of article and publication output. So from the OSDR, there's been about 150 papers that have included the data, and about half, I think it was, of all published work that is looking at AI and machine learning in space health include data from the OSDR. So this is a QR code to win a trip to space with Katy Perry. No, on your left is the form to sign up to the analysis working group. There's no commitment. You can sign up have a few, see what it looks like. If you don't end up having time for it, it's not like Space Force is going to turn up at your door either. So that's the form. If you don't catch that, it's available. It's an open form. It's available on the NASA website. And we recently had our annual meeting, and on the right is the QR code for the YouTube video of that. So there's a lot more talks in that about what the analysis working groups cover, and like a whole range of stuff. And if you're interested, I would definitely have a look. There's also a talk on actually developing it's more of a hardware talk. I won't even attempt to summarize it. It's about developing chips and sensors that will be resilient to radiation in space. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, but I recommend you check it out. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with me and I can hopefully direct you to the right person. So.